Well, hi guys. Today is the 16th of May, Thursday, and it's too wet to do anything. And we got rain in the forecast for tonight, Friday, and Saturday, and then more next week. So, I think now is the time for this project. Yep. Have a wide front to put under the 1850. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but pretty good as used parts go. This front end is off the front of an 1855 that blew up 30 plus years ago and spent, and I do mean decades, in several different shops and or barns. And this is from the auction where I bought the Oliver plows, the Oliver plow international disc, and a few other things. And Craig bought the tractor for parts for his stuff. And I traded him the cultivator for this. It's kind of in the... this just works. This will work good for me. I don't know yet if I need these tires and rims, so we're going to find out. I've got these arms. I'm going to say pretty well that this is stripped out here, and that's why they put a PTO safety pin through it, both sides, and this side's welded up. Now, theoretically, I could go buy, this half the tie rod and replace it, and let's face it, the odds of something that's been sitting for the last 30 plus years coming apart is slim and none. Without days of heating and soaking and beating, and I'd forget it. So, there are two brand spanking new ones to go on it. I also took the steering box off the 1855 because I don't know the condition of my gear inside. That spline shaft comes up into this. The narrow front, the bearings are, let's just say they're bad. And that lets that shaft move like this inside that steering box, which works on that upper spline and where that all connects. And I don't know the condition of it. The hydraulic line that I replaced, that broke off right there, you can see it, was going to be done when I switched this front end. However, it decided to break early. So now comes the fun part, because I got to take all the weights off. I got to take the strip that goes around the frame of the cab off, because the side panels have to come off. I got to take the muffler off. The hood has to be raised up in the front and blocked up. This front, well, the grill, counterweight, whatever you want to call it, has to physically come off the tractor. And I'm hoping that I can work around the radiator and I don't have to take it out. But it's tight in there, which is literally what I'm going to start doing. I'll unbolt all that over there and then start taking side panels off, because this is not going to be, it's going to take more time to do this than anything. And this we had off, I did most of the work, but it was off in about 45 minutes, an hour, all off the tractor. But it was just the front tub sitting there, you know, rear end and front tub. There was no engine in it, radiator, grill, nothing. So you know, 3 bolts here, 6 bolts here, 2 on the cap here and here, 1 on the steering shaft, and it comes apart. So we're just gonna play it a little bit by ear. I'm not going to bore you with a video of me taking out a dozen screws in the cab or pulling a sheet metal apart. It's not worth it. I'm going to have to find a place to set the front end down, because I'm going to have the skid steer to get these weights off. I'm still dealing with an abdominal hernia, so that's not a good idea. And the skid steer will come in quite handy, because I'll wrap a chain around here and pick this whole thing up and off, and life will be good. But as paint goes, well, it kind of matches the rest of the tractor, so it won't look funny. So I'm going to end this video here, because this is going to take a really good while to get all this sheet metal and stuff off. So I'm not going to bore you with that. We'll be back when I get all that done. So we'll be back here in a bit, guys. Hang on. Okay, guys, I'm back. I discovered the radiator has to come out. Lovely. And I discovered something else I'm going to have to fix. Yep. Somehow or another, I got to tweak this back. Rubbed a hole in it. Lovely. Something else to fix. Well, yeah, I'll be back when I get the radiator off. It's draining right now, kind of hillbilly style. Ain't no good way to drain it other than this. Oh, yeah. It's hillbilly, but it works. We'll be back. Okay, guys. Radiator is out. And I got the line over here that I just put on, taken off. Broke the line loose over there, and it's taken loose. And I was going to break these 2 lines loose. They forevermore will not budge at all. So, after all this, and taking the fan off to make it easier, this is going to be a mother to do. And I took these bolts loose. It was tight. And you can see the gap that is produced. That's because Those bearings and that narrow front are not the best. And this has got suction on it, so that always helps. Let me sit you down here. Maybe you can see what I'm doing. Probably not. It's going to be a pain. Those are sealed and they get suction on them. And they can be a bit of a bugger to get apart. Because of that suction. Now, normally, this right here, well, you can't see it, I'll show you. Hang on a second. Get my hands ungreased. Normally, this does not ride against the cap. But on a narrow front, all that weight pushes up on it. Now there is, and be careful because it's sharp, a cap right there I have to take off in order to get the bolt out. And it's in the same thing, it's got suction on it. Let's see if this will work. I don't know quite what you're looking at. I can't see it myself. Get a O-ring seal on it, and it can be a bugger to get out. Oops. Oh, about had an accident. That's all it is a snap or an O-ring under that. But it's got suction on it. And go get a little pry bar. Like I say, it's just a little. Got a snap ring in it, or a O-ring in it, and you got to have this out. I'll show you here in a second what it looks like. Clean it up a little bit. Ow! That's sharp. And I'll show you the reason for that in a moment. This, as you can see, there's an O-ring there, and you can see the back of it where it's turned and how the top looks. Alright, it's machined down in here to fit so far, and there's a snap ring inside that you have to, if you want to take the bolt and the washer out, you got to take the snap ring out. Take the narrow front loose, all you got to do is unscrew that, and when you pick the narrow front up, it'll fall away from it. Right now, it'll actually push that gear up, which I'm not wanting to do at the moment. But this, if you look at that, how it's worn because it's wearing on this right here, that surface. And when the bearings are new in that narrow front, everything is just kind of free float because it's riding on a pedestal. When that bottom barrel bearing at the bottom of the pedestal starts to wear, it lets the shaft come up higher, which pushes against this. And if you look at this one, this is just about flush. This ring gear is lower than the face of the case. And if you look at this one, it's up. Probably a good 1/8, 3/16 higher than that one, because the bearings in the narrow front down there are worn, and it puts more pressure up here, and it drives this gear up into that case, and these two bolts right here will actually start backing out from the constant turn and jiggle and movement. That's what broke this steel line over here, was this thing flexing like this. That line here comes around and it's got a 90 coming in, so movement, like this, it can flex. This one can't. I can get the bearings, I can get the seals, the races, everything to redo this. And I've done one. And I said I wouldn't do it again. For kind of obvious reasons. But this tractor with a narrow front in my ground is not the best idea. It's neat, don't get me wrong, I like it. It makes the tractor very, very nimble. But if you got soft ground, you work your ground and it's soft, that front end goes down right now, where the wide front will more float across the ground because it spreads the weight out farther. It doesn't have all the weight on edge here, if that makes sense. But at this point, really, really, really hoping that if I have to do anything, it'll be pull this gear out, switch it with that one. Because this gear, it's machined to fit inside of this, and inside, you know, it's a double surface. It keeps this centered, and so is the bottom. Well, with the narrow front moving, it can put a lot of wear in the key, which is I really don't want to open this up. Oh, it's already, this top of this is splined. If you can see that, it's taper and it's a spline. Well, that gear is made for that to mate in, a taper and a spline. So if that's been pushing up all those years, and this is, you know, machined like it is, there could be excess wear in there. And what I was really wanting to do was take this gearbox out, clean this all out, and life is good. Switch it. I don't believe I'm going to be able to do that now, so on to plan B, you might say. So I think I'm at a point where I'm going to stop for tonight. This is a lot to do by yourself, you know, getting the hood up like that. As far as I can get it to go, it's resting against the cab, can't go any farther, and yeah, fun stuff. Radiator's out, it's ready for the narrow front to come out from under it. But first, I have to get it propped up, you might say. I got to get cribbing and underneath of it so I can get it up a little bit. If I have to let air out of the tires, I'll do that. Get the tires off. It's sitting on the cribbing. And then it's unbolted. 6 bolts under there. Get them off. Put a floor jack underneath of it. Take it loose. Set it down. And it'll come right out of there. And being as it's going to be raining tomorrow, it's a good time to do this. I may have to call Jacob for some help tomorrow, because putting one in by yourself is not fun. I've done it before, but it ain't fun. And it takes 3 times as long to do it. So, I am going to leave things right here, guys. Hopefully the skid steer will sit over there. Wide front's good where it's at. And like I said, they say with age comes wisdom. And that comes into play right here. You know, these tie rods could be, you know, this lower part replaced and be a lot cheaper to do. But I'm telling you, if you have ever tried to do one of these, you'll know what I'm talking about. That can be a fight like a death match. And I'm just not into that much aggravation right now. It's kind of, I got 2 brand new ones sitting there. It's break 4 bolts loose, pop them out, put the new ones in, set the toe, and it's good to go. And there ain't no cussing and heating and beating and cussing and fussing, and it ain't worth it. I'd rather spend the money and be done with it. So that's what I did. But, like I say, radiator's out and sitting over there, the side panels are off, grill's out, weights are off. Really, the hardest part is now done. And saying that, I do mean that. This is the hardest part. Putting it back together is going to be a snap. And if I got help, that it'll even go quicker. This might be back together tomorrow night. I don't know. We're going to find out. So guys, this is going to be a real time, few hours, about 3 hours by myself. I got her stripped down to this point. So it shouldn't take long to do everything else. And it'll be a part. And luckily, I can stretch the air hose over here and use some air tools, break those bolts loose, buzz them off with the air tools. And that'll make things go that much quicker. But I'm calling it for here today, guys. I'm tired. So, with any luck, you'll see this tonight. So, we'll see you next time, guys. And as always, please comment, hit that like button, and ring that bell. Sorry about that. My camera cut off. So, as I said, we'll see you next time. And as always, please comment, hit that like button, and ring that bell for notifications. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. So, see you next time, guys.